U.S. President Donald Trump has announced a 50% tariff on Brazil, accusing President Lula's government of attacking American technology and shielding Bolsonaro from prosecution over the coup attempt. This move has sparked diplomatic tensions, triggered significant economic impacts, and could potentially shift the political landscape in Brazil.
A message from U.S. President Donald Trump on Wednesday delivered a heavy blow to Brazil, marking the lowest point in bilateral relations between the two countries in modern history. Trump announced a tariff of up to 50% on Brazil, citing that the South American country is attacking you in its tech corporations and conducting a witch hunt against far-right former President Jair Bolsonaro, a close ally of Trump, who is currently facing possible prosecution over allegations of plotting to overturn the results of Brazil's 2022 presidential election. This decision comes amid escalating political tensions between Trump and Brazil's current president, Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, further straining diplomatic ties between the two nations. Previously, Trump had threatened BRICS members, including Brazil, with tariffs, accusing them of holding stances contrary to U.S. interests. BRICS, which includes India, Russia, China, and recently Iran, was established to counterbalance the global influence of the United States. Responding to Trump's move, President Lula wrote on Platform X, "Brazil is a sovereign nation with independent institutions and will not accept any form of tutelage." Since returning to leadership in January, President Trump has been broadly implementing tariff policies, also known as import taxes. According to him, these measures will boost U.S. domestic manufacturing and protect local jobs. However, he is also using them for political purposes. Brazil appears to be no exception to this approach by Trump. President Lula's administration has stated it will enact reciprocal measures, potentially imposing equivalent tariffs on U.S. imports. However, there remains uncertainty about the feasibility of such enforcement or whether Brazil has the economic resilience to withstand the consequences of escalating trade tensions. Meanwhile, the Brazilian public is left questioning why their country has become a target of Trump and what scenarios lie ahead. Protecting ally, Bolsonaro. Brazil is one of the few countries that imports more from the U.S. than it exports, an ideal backdrop for Trump's trade strategy. In light of this imbalance, many Brazilian analysts and politicians believe that the tariff threat is in fact a public show of support for Jair Bolsonaro. In his letter, Trump harshly criticized the Brazilian government and the Supreme Court trial involving Bolsonaro over alleged coup plotting. Many political figures in Brazil had expected Trump to support Bolsonaro, but the level of interference this time exceeds all prior expectations. On January 8, 2023, hundreds of Bolsonaro supporters stormed Brazil's Congress in an attempt to overturn the election results that brought Lula to power. Just months earlier, Bolsonaro has denied involvement in the incident, which has been likened to a Brazilian version of the January 6 Capitol attack in the U.S. carried out by Trump supporters. Trump himself is currently facing investigations over a similar incident in the U.S., and he consistently opposes all legal proceedings targeting him. Bolsonaro's son, Eduardo, has temporarily stepped away from Brazil's Congress and moved to the United States to seek backing from Trump's inner circle and the broader MAGA community for his father. In the letter, Trump also accused the Brazilian government of covertly attacking free elections and fundamental American freedoms of speech, including censorship of U.S. social media platforms. Bolsonaro gains support, or Lula gets saved. Brazilian businesses and officials are urgently assessing the economic impact of the potential new tariffs, but the political consequences are also significant. Trump's letter demonstrates a level of support for Bolsonaro that few politicians in the region have received. Bolsonaro intends to run again, despite being barred from candidacy until 2030. Bolsonaro supporters view Trump's move as an opportunity to blame Lula. São Paulo Governor Tarcísio de Freitas said, "Lula has put ideology above the economy, and this is the result. The responsibility lies with those in power. Empty rhetoric won't solve the problem. However, some experts argue that Trump's actions may backfire. The United States is Brazil's second-largest trading partner, after China, and the sectors most likely to suffer, such as agriculture, are political strongholds for Bolsonaro, a political opportunity for Lula. Rather than boosting Bolsonaro, the tariff threat could become a lifeline for Lula, who is struggling with approval ratings and congressional relations. A May poll showed that 55% of Brazilians do not support Trump. Immediately after Trump's announcement, Lula and left-wing leaders responded with nationalist rhetoric, blaming Bolsonaro for the looming economic crisis caused by the tariffs. Even centrist politicians opposed Trump. Senator Alessandro Vieira wrote, "No citizen, especially those elected by the people, can tolerate foreign aggression against Brazil. Regardless of the justification, the time has come for true patriotism." Some analysts believe this may help Lula rally more political support. Professor Oliver Stwinkel commented, "Even critics of Lula may see Trump's move as an attack on national sovereignty and the independence of Brazil's judiciary." The 2026 presidential election is still far off, but observers are already drawing comparisons to Canada, where a right-wing candidate likened to Trump ultimately lost to a moderate rival who openly opposed the U.S. leader. Since Bolsonaro cannot run, his allies are now debating who should be his successor.